Welcome to the Epic Gaming Night Podcast, a podcast about the stories and relationships board games create. I'm Roy Canday, and with me today is Ruthie, Courtney, Kent, Adam, Matt, and Rob. What's going on, everybody?
Hello, hello.
Hey.
Hi.
Hey.
Hello.
Just doing a podcast.
Is that what we're doing?
We're back for the second time, so it's no longer just a reunion show.
Number 2 return.
I really missed you guys. I thought we were just hanging out.
I know, we were talking about like The Last of Us and a bunch of different things right before we started.
Wow. So we're doing a podcast. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Epic Gaming Night. Roy, you're the leader. You're the boss. What are we going to talk about next? Because I will ramble, and there's a lot of world news I can ramble about.
Well, there's several different things. We are going to talk about the different news that we picked out. We're starting to do this like top 5 of news. I don't know if these are necessarily in a specific order. There's a little bit of an order to them. But we all kind of like worked together. Kent got some ideas for news. We all kind of brought together ideas for news to talk about different news things. And then Rob came up with the idea to do our basically our favorite games of last year and games we're super looking forward to for next year. So games of the future and the past sort of thing.
The recent past.
The recent past. But yeah, I guess we
But in
can
board
go...
game years, that's forever ago anyway.
Exactly.
Do you equate like board game years to like dog years?
I
Or
think
is
it's
it more?
maybe more.
Yeah,
it's
it
probably
is.
more.
It is
if it wants
crazy
something-
how fast games can like disappear off like the radar of people.
Oh, for sure. If it doesn't hit at the right week, it's people forget about it almost. It seems like.
I was thinking about it. Do you think Euro games are more susceptible to fading than like
Yes.
thematic games?
Yes.
It just depends. I think it depends on the game. It depends on what reviewers hit the game at the right time. Also,
Ooh.
It
really
just depends.
It really to me feels like people that play Euro games, they're kind of solvable in some ways, so they really need like a fresh new thing to continually like learn this game and like kind of master it and then keep moving on. And then thematic games, just because they're about story and about the people more, then you end up being able to just replay them because you play with different people, you're gonna have a completely different experience, you know?
I think that's definitely true in some ways, but I think some Euro games are kind of the ones that really hook in and stay in the in the popularity. Those I think have a lot of replayability. They got a lot of depth to them and things that you really can't solve. And a lot of these Euro games you can't solve. They're starting to put more randomness in them and more variability and things like that.
I think especially games that are like more gateway game weight.
Yeah.
Like I know I have 3 or 4 of those that just get played in perpetuity, mostly because it's relatively palatable for like my mother.
Right. And they
To
become
play
sort of
it.
like
Yeah.
evergreens basically at that point, right?
Yeah, I will never stop playing 5 Tribes in this house, which is like a light Euro, right? Like
Right.
I mean, I would call that Euro-ish anyway.
That's a solid game for sure. I mean, that's
Yeah, it's
that's
great.
not solvable either. For sure.
No, it's never solvable. It'll just destroy you. It'll
Yeah.
just
I'm not a big. Euros are fun. They're great. I hate the type of Euro though that like once you know the system, like once you know by like round 3 that you've lost, and you're playing a 10-round game, like that's so dumb to me. Now, if I'm playing with good friends and it's a beautiful looking game, then I'll play all 10 rounds. I probably won't play the game again. But to me, that's why if I'm going to go for a Euro, my Euro is going to be more like a Champions of Midgard, where it's not so much Euro as it is worker placement / risk taking
Yeah.
type of thing.
Risk management.
Yeah, I need that risk management. That's what I like more about area control than just in your face, because there is like there's more that factor of I don't know how you're going to respond to what cards and stuff yet. But I'm just not a big fan of the Euro. I think the only Euros that, like, let's say the first quarter of the year that survive are the ones that have an amazing theme or they're attached to an IP that everybody loves. And let's say it's like a popular IP and the IP comes back out that fall, then it makes it relevant again. But outside of that, if it's not a gorgeous game, I think Euros suffer the most, which they should. Well, what would we say? About 60+% of the games that come out, if not more, are Euro-style games. Like, of course, you're going to cannibalize.
I don't know the numbers. I don't know.
It's a lot.
in the U.S. market that might not be true anymore, but
I
And
think the
Europe,
US
though,
market,
like
they
1,200
tear them up
games.
over
And
there,
also,
like hardcore.
the lines are so blurred with these games that are coming out these days. They're all like using different mechanisms. They're not. You can't really like put a game in a one box nowadays. Almost.
Some of them
That
you
is
can.
true.
but
Some you
not all
can.
of them.
Yeah, some you can for sure. But like you can't. You can put them in a game box.
Hey, speaking of it, did your copy of Immortality come out or come in yet? The expansion for Dune?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I haven't played it yet. We did not get to play it, but it came.
I want to know, like, as soon as you play it, like, private text me. Because my big box came in, and I sorted all this stuff. Matt, did yours come in yet, your big box?
By the Dune's at its core, Euro too, by the way.
Oh, for sure.
Okay,
Dune Imperium.
but Dune, to me, is not core Euro. Because it is take that. I mean, to me.
But
right?
but
Sure,
that's
on paper, yes.
again, it's
I think it's very strong Euro. It has area control mechanics, which
It
are
does.
like it has that
It also
combat
has
phase.
combat.
But yeah, I mean it's very interactive too, which makes it feel like it's not a Euro, but it's definitely a Euro.
No, it is, but I put it up there like the Champions of Midgard. How about this? It's a Euro that I like. It's a Euro that I
Yeah.
enjoy, that I want to play again. In fact,
It's the
Dune is
Rob.
probably
Rob
the
didn't
best.
ask me about any of the expansions. I've played all of them. So.
You have, because didn't it like just come out?
Wait,
Yeah, but he gets early access.
I must say, yes. I did the review for it like
that's
2
right,
months
that's
ago.
what
Man,
you-
man's
Yeah.
got perks. He's got benefits.
Sorry.
There's a card in the expansion called a chair dog. I don't even remember what the card does, but it was just so confusing to me, the fact that there are like dogs in the Dune universe that they genetically modified to be chairs, and the people would sit on them as chair, and they're called a chair dog. And we just
Wow.
went down this huge rabbit hole of like, what is a chair dog? And
that is
it's
awesome,
very
though,
dark.
for dinner table, like you don't want to eat that broccoli or something.
Also, apparently they train them to
Chair
like
dog.
vibrate or something. I don't know. It's weird.
Hey,
Or purr like a cat almost. I don't know. Strange.
you don't want to sit there and get sore if you're working. So
Yeah.
Just sit on a genetically modified dog.
Yeah.
But yeah, the expansion's great. It's got a lot of cool stuff. I really like the little track that you move up, and it gives you like new options with like just genetic modification stuff. Did y'all play the first expansion?
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's fun too.
Yeah.
All the text and stuff like that. I didn't play both of them at the same time. I only played them both separately, added into the game. But yeah, they're both great. Paul Denton makes amazing stuff. So
Does the newest one add a fifth player? Or is it still just 4?
I think it's just 4.
I think it's still just 4. Yeah.
That's sort of the
think
sweet
it's
spot
fifth.
though for it though.
Yeah.
Only problem is like when we were at Dice Tower last year, we had like 5 people and wanted to play Dune, but I'm just gonna look at that one guy like who's not gonna play, but he wants to play. So, all right.
Well, I guess talking about these new games, we can get into the new games here with the news. The first game we're going to talk about is the Lord of the Rings adventure book game. There were several others. This is from Ravensburger. There were several other of these adventure book games. I know that there was a what is it? It's not Alice in Wonderland. The Golden Brick Road.
Wizard of
Wizard of Oz. It was a Wizard of Oz adventure book game. I'm not sure how mechanically similar this one is, but it's going to be kind of like a lightweight game that you're going through cooperatively trying to throw the ring into Mount Doom. And I'm always a fan of Lord of the Rings themes, so I was like, oh, we should add this to the news because it was just announced like yesterday. Do you guys have any interest in this game or any thoughts about it? Or
anything Lord of the Rings, I'll like sniff, like just anything. It's
Sure.
like it falls into that like my brain lexicon. You know how I assume everybody here does this. At some point in the year, you're like, oh man, I need to watch the director's cut. Like
Yeah.
I need, you're like, it's gonna happen this weekend. See you later, everybody else. I love Lord of the Rings so much.
AJ's in the chat. What's up, AJ?
Hey.
We were talking about him
Adam
too much.
2 years ago
We
for
were
my
talking about him
birthday,
too much last time.
we
That
did
he's
a Lord of the Rings
in chat.
marathon, all the extended editions. We started at 10 in the morning, and we got done with like a couple like little breaks. We got done around midnight. It was one of the best birthdays of my life.
Yeah.
We used to do that for like New Year's. Like we would basically try to like start in the morning and like watch all the way through. But that was back when the extended editions just came out, which was decades ago.
They're so good, so good.
Been a couple of
I'm
years.
not a fan though of the book games. and I may be like, I think Stuff Fables is okay. I like the game Stuff Fables, but I'm just not a fan of the book mechanics. So
Really?
I know Plaid Hat has done a lot of those book stuff.
What about
I-
Jaws of the Lion? Have you played that, like Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion?
Nope.
The book makes it so much better because you don't have to set up all the tiles. You can just be like, boom, there's the map. Next page, boom, there's the map. I love it.
That's just me. I've never been a big fan of the book.
I'm telling Jerry.
I'm
Yeah,
always
I like-
hesitant with
Don't
campaign
think I'm you,
games
so
too.
I'm fine with that.
There's just so much stuff to play, and it's like you got to almost commit to a campaign. So that's the. I think in this one you play through chapters, and then once you beat all the chapters, you beat the game, kind of. But it's like each chapter is kind of an individual game, as far as I know. For
Well,
this
that's
one,
kind of cool. And you get to be
So,
all the
like-
Lord of the Rings characters. So that's always fun.
Like if you go back and replay them, like I had not played it at all, believe it or not. I just bought Cthulhu Death May Die, and I started playing that for the first time. I'm 2.5 years late on it, but it's got chapters, but you know what I mean. Like it's like you could.
well, that game in particular is very like plug and play, and it's mostly just like a scenario you just play one off. But I think this one, to follow the story, you got to kind of go
So you have to
chapter
in
by
order.
chapter. I mean, I don't think you have to, but I think it sounded like at least in the Princess Bride version of the game, the stuff you did in one game carries over to the next one.
All right,
So
see, I've
like
never-
your decisions might matter as you go along.
Yeah. I was kind of writing it up like it could potentially work like that, or like Lord of the Rings, the living card game, where I mean there's some theme and story to those, but I suppose this is trying to be a little bit more of a dungeon crawl or something. Again, I've never played one of these Ravenburg storybook games, but it looks pretty.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
I like
It's
the
a
cover a lot.
Target exclusive, right?
Who
So
is it?
I
didn't
think
notice that.
is that what you said?
Oh, not Target. Let's
I think
delete
it's-
it. I'm just kidding.
Was it Target? I thought I saw on there was
you-
a Target
you were
exclusive.
correct. It is a Target exclusive.
oh
So,
man,
I mean,
that's
at least I
interesting.
think that'll at least like appeal to other, not may say, maybe
Well,
like
that's great, yeah.
non-gamers that see, oh, it's Lord of the Rings, let's try this, because I know they did a Princess Bride one, and my sister was like a huge Princess Bride fan, so like she wanted to play that one. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. See, I would want to play that too. So maybe I need to give it a shot. I won't mention where I buy it from, so I don't give Matt and Roy PTSD. But
Or AJ. No, I'm just kidding. I think yeah. But yeah, so the next game is one that Ruthie might be slightly interested in. This is Disney Lorcana, the trading card game. I know you're not normally into trading card game stuff, but this is very
Something
Disney.
I could get into. I love Disney.
yeah, I love Disney too.
So, and it's crazy. They had like promos for this at I think it was like a comic book thing that were going for ridiculous amounts of money. This is another Ravensburger thing, but it looks like they're really trying to go hard and like go all out on this.
So is this like a Magic the Gathering Disney edition?
I think so. Yeah.
Sort of
Well,
that
not
sort of
Magic,
thing.
but yeah, I think it's a
Because
head-to-head.
like I could
card
get
game.
my daughters to play this.
Yeah, I'm not sure that like they haven't really released a whole lot of information about the specific mechanics. They're just showing off the art and all of the different products in the product line, and they're going really hard with like booster packs and decks, and like in Magic and Pokemon they have these like fat pack things where it's just a whole bunch of booster packs together in like a box.
Yeah, when you showed me, I was like, "Are you showing me something I'm about to become obsessed with?" Just because.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
was gonna
recently
say,
taught
This is
Ruthie the Pokemon card game, and I know Kent, you said your kids play the Pokemon card game, but it's like, oh, I
Yep.
wonder how complex this is going to be
Right.
as far as like what age range you can play with.
Right.
Yeah, and I think if any brand has a chance to rival Pokemon or even have any kind of competition with Magic, it's going to be Disney probably. And if Ravensburger is really serious about this, they do some pretty good games, so this could have potential.
One of the things I like about it is the fact that like it's not like stills taken from the movies. You know, it's like
yeah.
Yeah.
all like art for the game, and like it looks well done. So it looks like they're putting at least some effort into it. You know, so I'm really hoping that it is
Yeah.
actually something fun.
It looks really pretty.
I'm terrified to start liking
Exactly. Any
a
collectible card.
collectible
game.
card game.
Did you see the set release? They said they plan to launch 4 sets per year.
Ah! Never mind.
Not
Let's
gonna
delete this one too.
keep up.
Oh,
It's the 3-month timing.
So it's
Man.
like, Magic was kind of over, like had flooded the market last year with way too many sets and way too many cards, and people just they didn't want to spend that much money on Magic. So it's like it's kind of a balance, I guess. You gotta You know,
Isn't
you
there
want
a
to keep the
Star
game
Wars
relevant,
one
but
coming
you
out?
want to.
There's a
Yeah.
Star Wars card game, which is just a single card game from Fantasy Flight, but that's not collectible at
Yeah.
all.
Oh,
It's,
Well, they had Star Wars Destiny was a couple years ago, which was that's
Yeah.
kind of what came to my
Well, that-
mind with this, which I
Mhm.
got into. You had the dice, remember?
Yeah,
It had,
yeah.
like the
Yeah.
Yeah, I play that a lot.
it was a really fun game, and after about a year and a half, maybe 2 years, I mean, I think it got supported for a little bit longer, but it kind of I couldn't find anyone to play with. Like I had like 2 or 3 friends who were still playing it. It kind of just
I
died.
think it got the Asmodee effect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely.
Yeah, it might have just got Asmodee. That's a good point.
Well, I was just wondering though because both of my girls, we love Star Wars, but
Mhm.
if it's not going to be like a collectible card game, because like everybody at their school now, they'll trade. Like my daughters will bring home Pokemon cards. Sometimes they have no idea really what they are. Good school.
It's like currency.
Yeah, right. It is. And so I'm just thinking like, okay, could this be the thing that could be currency, but also could be something that would be fun to introduce them into a collectible card game, rather
Yeah.
than if Star Wars not going to be a collectible card game. I don't know. I think I might be with you, Ruthie. I might be.
Hmm.
I'm getting more and more excited. This is the first time I'm hearing about this, so this is.
It looks really cool. I wonder for like the Disney files, like Ruthie, is that something that, like, even if you barely played it, would you want to buy cards and
Yes.
sleeve them or put them in a buy? Yeah, see, I
Yes.
think that's part of it too, right?
Yeah.
Just because I want
Yeah.
to collect all the villains already. I'm like, they have villain packs.
Yeah, right. It's like how many different Ursulas are there going to be?
Exactly.
People
Like
were
from
already
Yeah,
collecting.
Ultra Ursula.
Yeah,
People were already paying for those cards that came from the I think it was D23 Expo. They were paying thousands of dollars for these cards, these promo
Which
cards.
doesn't make sense to me for a game that's not out yet. I'm
Yeah,
like,
I don't know.
Disney
Wow.
adults though, y'all know, know.
Yeah.
Like,
I
if you're
already
listening to
have,
this and you're a DVC member,
I have
like, you're
yeah, I have
crazy.
2 Disney tattoos. So
what? You have tattoos? Who would ever get tattoos?
what is this?
How dare
Yes.
you?
I don't
Well,
condone
this is
getting of
exciting.
tattoos
Please let us
as I
know
have a
more
sleeve.
about Lorcana. This is very exciting.
We'll have to demo it and see if it's any good. All right, Rob, well, you have to take it away with this next one.
Oh, and the release date. Sorry, did you say release date?
Oh, what is the release date, Ken?
So release date says August 18th at game stores, and then September 1st for the regular distribution.
Oh, nice.
So that's coming up pretty soon this summer.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Probably Gen Con, I would guess.
Gen Con for sure.
No, that's my game I'm talking about. Want to play for 2023.
Oh, gotcha. So we can't talk about it right now?
We can. And I'm more than
And you'll
happy
talk about it
to-
even more in the future?
No, this is a game. Do you want to jump into it now, or just wait?
We can jump into it now. Do you know? I mean, for
Rob
news.
Daggio, you gotta forgive him for that terrible pirate game. But I won't even mention it. Broke my heart. It is not a poop sock. Everybody knows.
Well, that's a throwback
But anyway,
right there.
Rob Daggio, one of my favorite games ever, Risk Legacy, created that. Also, Cthulhu, Death May Die, which we were talking about earlier before the show, and Return to Dark Tower. He has teamed up with Cool Mini or Not to create a straight-to-retail game on Stranger Things. It's based off of Season 1 and Season 2. You will be playing through missions. Both of the seasons or both the campaigns for the game are going to follow the seasons where you are trying to rescue Will. You can play up to 4 people, 4 characters, but there's going to be 6 total options. The minis are going to be absolutely gorgeous. They have Demogorgon, Demodogs, and they also have like additional characters like Barb and Steve and Bob and Max and
But you
Alex.
don't get to play 11. 11 just helps you occasionally.
Well,
Everyone gets to control 11 a little bit.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
oh, nice.
Yeah. And so you're saving Will as your core victory condition. I'm just really excited because I love the IP. I love Stranger Things, and then the fact that this one is coming out and it's also co-op. And so I've already talked to my wife about this. Like, hey babe, is this something you'd want to play? Because she's getting more and more games, which is a lot of fun. And so she's definitely wanting to give it a shot. And Cool Mini or Not, they're still one of my favorite producers, board games or board game companies. Not even for their games, but just their minis. Their games are always gorgeous to me. They may not have the best game, but they'll have one of the best looking games out there. And so that with this IP, I'm really looking forward to it. They have not released a date just yet, or an official date as of 2 days ago. when I was looking up for the official release date. But it just says retail this year. Some speculation is saying Q3 or possibly Q4. But I don't think it's coming out Q1 or Q2.
I remember back in the day on this podcast forever ago, you're like, there needs to be a Stranger Things board game. Stranger Things board game.
Yes. No, and it's coming. It's finally coming.
Hey,
Yeah.
it's us ending the podcast.
We ended the podcast for several years. We came back. They put out
Rob
several
Davio
more
was a guest
seasons,
on the
and now they're
podcast
going to
in
come
the
out with
past.
it.
Rob Davio was a guest on the show in the past. Maybe he heard it.
I think he owes you royalties, honestly.
Yeah, he probably does.
Not only
think
for
there
the
was-
game, but also for stealing your name. You know,
I
all Robs owe you money.
would take every
If this board is hovering and you can flip it over, Rob, you better call him.
bro. If the board actually does that, I'd lose my mind.
In the interview with Rob Davio, he actually talked about potentially having a board where it was the upside down and it was flipped, and you'd have to like put your figures underneath, maybe magnetized or whatever. They said it was not feasible, but they wanted to originally. That was kind of an idea, but then it wouldn't work out.
You like have like a Clask kind of component
Yeah,
to it?
right. That'd be pretty cool. But no.
I was actually talking about how I wanted to have that magnetized Wiz War on Board Game Breakfast today. That was like forever ago, and it never happened.
Oh, that cube that you were gonna make.
Yeah, the magnets. How do they work?
Well, here's one thing though that does have me a little concerned about Cool Mini or Not. I remember a few years ago they were going to come out with this electronic board where you can put in a board. They were doing a prototype of Zombicide, and you could actually play.
I
the
played
game,
that.
put down your piece, and it would tell you where your piece was. It would kind of help you go over the. And it's been dead silent. And Cool Mini or Not since then. It's a large company, international
Yeah,
company.
I think-
they're publicly traded, so that's probably scrapped that. But that would worry me if they really had an upside down board.
Yeah, I think what happened with that whole Tabaroo thing or whatever is that I guess the technology wasn't ready enough. And I played the actual Zombicide version of that game, like at Gen Con one year. I had like a little press pass and went in and played it. And it was actually really awesome, voice acted. Like, I liked Zombicide, but this was an awesome version of Zombicide. But that's all scrapped now. So I'm like, dang it.
Tabaroo
Like,
is still coming.
Tabaroo is coming, and they have a bad
but not
Karma's
Zombicide.
game. We played that at work, and it was interesting. It was okay. But they're coming out with several games, but it's just the Tabaroo company, and they've completely, they're not a part of CMON's stuff at all. So that whole part of it got scrapped. So I don't know exactly what happened there, but I was more excited when CMON was doing stuff with them.
Yeah, that seems like the perfect fit, but I guess it didn't work out.
Yeah.
So that's Stranger Things coming out hopefully soon. Now, I did hear that they're pushing back season 5 to come out actually early 2024 now. And so
Oh, wow.
it probably makes more sense that the game will come out Q3 or Q4 right before season 5 comes out.
Are they doing a
wish-
Kickstarter for this, or just going straight to retail?
Straight to retail.
Wow. Okay.
I wish they were doing a Kickstarter.
Because then it would be huge, right? Because CMON Kickstarters are never small.
Well, that and all the expansions, and then you could just add on a continuation of expansions of different seasons, different things. I mean, it could have been a licensing agreement as well with Stranger Things that they had to go straight to retail, which
Yeah.
I imagine probably was the case because Cool Mini or Not makes so much bank off of Kickstarters. So it probably was something like that. But
Yeah, I'm sure Netflix had something to say about where that thing was getting distributed. And I would imagine just based on the amount of Stranger Things Monopoly that has been sold, they're like, if we put this thing on a shelf for $80, or $75, like, and we can get it into major retail, it'll be crazy. I would wager you'll see this thing like at Walmart and at Target at some point. It's possible.
oh yeah,
Yeah, I think it's very possible.
definitely Barnes and Nobles. I would also say definitely Target because I think Target is making a good strong push.
Yeah, for
Walmart, maybe. I'd actually almost
They've-
be a little leery if it was at Walmart.
Yeah, if it's
So-
at
yeah.
Walmart, it's probably extremely mass market.
Well, there's sometimes you get some. I mean, they tend to be games that have been around for a while, but
Right.
sometimes you walk into Walmart and you're like, "Whoa, like what's that doing there?" Like Ticket to Ride's at Walmart now,
Yeah.
Which 10 years late, I guess, but like it's there.
Well, this next one is something that, the first slide here, I've got a couple slides for this, but the first one is Marvel United Spider-Geddon, which is another CMON game that's going straight to retail. This is a standalone version of Marvel United that they're releasing basically very soon after they're doing the current campaign, which is the multiverse campaign for Marvel United. Do you guys do Marvel United? Like, have you played it? I don't know. I don't know what everybody stands on Marvel United currently.
We love it. It's fun. Yeah, we have
Yeah, we played it
both
quite a
all
bit.
of season 1 and season 2. So
It's fun, yeah.
I'm sure we'll be all in on season 3.
Yeah, me and Ruthie, that was one of the first games we played together was Marvel United.
Yeah, I played.
Aw.
What was it? X-Men?
We did play the X-Men. We played just the X-Men base box when it came out.
Yeah.
Were you Magneto?
Oh, yeah, villains.
I was definitely Wolverine, I think. So
Yep, that makes sense.
I played at Kent and Courtney's house when we had to get together a few years ago, and then I bought several things of Marvel United, and then it's still in shrink. But
Oh, wow.
It looks great. I've got a lot of games that I played with Kent and Courtney that stay in shrink.
It's only fun
because
with Courtney.
why open my box when Kent already knows the rules? And, it's a cool game. I've got the current Kickstarter on my radar. I'll probably back it last day, just once I get an idea of all the crazy stuff. But no, I'm looking forward to it. I'm also looking forward to the Spider one that comes straight out. My nephew is getting really big into Spider-Man, and so I think that'd be fun to be able to get him to play that game when he comes down. So.
yeah, for sure. I mean, and whenever you back like just the base game of this, you end up getting like so many miniatures most of the time. That's kind of what I've done for each one is like back just the base, and then you just get so much stuff. You don't even have to add on the tons of add-ons to it if you don't want to, So
Yeah, and the miniatures are so much fun to paint. I've been trying to get through this. It's taking me forever though.
Oh man.
Oh, and there
Dark
is a
Horse.
little like
There's a
chibi
lot.
Galactus in this expansion too.
Yeah.
So I should have had a picture of me holding that here, but it's fine.
For how simple of a game it is, I'm so surprised by how thematic the characters feel and how the villains feel. Like just these slight little text things they put on the cards and like the way the bad guys work feels like so surprisingly thematic for being so simple. I think it works really well. For
And a
Marvel
couple of
United.
things they did with this version is they upgraded the solo version of the game, so like it's more engaging. So now there's like a new way to play solo in the game, which makes it even better. And then they also have these like team decks that are like an optional buy, where you can like add in, if you're playing with specific characters, you can add in these team decks, which add even more special cards that you can play with. And
It's supposed to make it harder, I think too.
I think a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, you're supposed to play on a harder difficulty, and sometimes some of the cards can kind of mess you up that come out, I think. And they have special items for a bunch of the characters, and they're actually going back and making some of the older characters be able to have special items, so that way they can kind of like bring up the power level of the older characters also. So there's a lot of stuff that they're doing with Marvel United. But
Does
man,
cool stuff sell the playmat?
I don't know if they have the
Where can
playmat
you get
yet.
hands on one of those.
The playmat, you can get there's a new playmat coming with this Kickstarter that's smaller. It doesn't have the slots for the cards, but it fits better on tables. But
Yeah,
it
a lot
still
of
has
people were
the,
complaining of the playmat being too big and not fitting on tables, so they went smaller this time.
It's like the other one was like 90 centimeters.
It
maybe.
like
I
is
don't
huge
know.
because it
I
just
gotta look
goes
at my
all.
measurements.
You can put all the cards all the way around it, and it's kind of like
me
normally
see.
when I play, I only keep a couple of the last few cards out. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. I did tell Adam if he ever came down or whatever, like I have it. I've gotten it sitting in the corner right there.
Oh yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, I don't own enough to like justify it, but I think I'll probably back this and get this because I turned on to the game pretty late. Like it was just one of those things where I think I just bought it when it was on sale. I had never played it.
It's so affordable if you get just one of the base sets. It's like you can get the game for like $12, and the miniatures are amazing.
That's what I bought it for, like $11.99 or something, and I was like, well, this is. I could play this once; it was worth $11.99.
Like,
but
why wouldn't you? You know.
It's a good family level co-op that you can break out pretty quick, and I obviously I'm a big fan of the theme. I'm actually a little bit more excited for the Spider-Verse just because I'm a Spider-Man fan, so I'm kind of theme-wise I'm jacked that's going to go to retail here pretty soon because I'm going to go get my hands on that like that. But yeah, it's definitely a back for me. I think this is something that probably people who play like bigger co-ops maybe have slept on, because I know that's what I did. I was kind of like, do I want to play this? Is it going to be satisfying? And I regret not having a a little bit more of it collected.
We should play
because
this
I
more
waited.
because I have so much of it.
Yeah.
I have massive
I remember
amounts of
you
this.
had like boxes upon boxes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It takes up a lot of space.
It is surprisingly easy to get to the table. So
I took
definitely
everything
less
I
carry out.
have and put it
Play more.
in like 3 boxes, and it is slap full of just the
I
miniatures
believe
just
it.
chunked
I
in
believe
there.
it.
Minis, yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh. All right. Well, I'm not as much of an expert on this next one, and I know there's been some updates to the stuff going on with it. But the open gaming license for D&D, I think Wizards made final more announcements about it. Who wants to go crack at this? Because I'm not currently as up to date as other people are.
I'll say this. There's been so much backlash, and I'll let Matt and Adam talk more about this. That they're now starting to backtrack a little bit.
Yeah,
or they're saying that they want to backtrack.
Yeah, a lot bit.
There's even like boycotting of the movie, which the movie actually looks really good. I'm excited.
I hope it's good.
Yeah, I want to see.
But yeah, there's it got released and everyone is just like PO'd right now. But I'll let you two guys get into the law of it, the details of it.
Oh man, I mean, I don't want to I was following it really, really, really closely right up until the point that they kind of made the two big statements when WotC kind of backtracked on it. I mean, it feels like this is kind of one of those. It's kind of like a corporate hellscape moment, I think, for a lot of people where. I'm gonna grant some grace to folks that work and run at Wizards of the Coast who are probably RGB. It's late for me. They're probably tabletop RPG people, who work there largely. People who design the games, make the game, and say that this is probably more of a parent company issue. You're as far as you being ultimately owned by a big corporate conglomerate. It seems like it was one of those moments where the people who held the purse strings had no idea that they really didn't own the thing that they own. Dungeons and Dragons is something that it transcends ownership in a way that a lot of other things culturally don't. I was listening to an interview.
So much of the game is just imagination, right?
Well, and it's a zeitgeist in and of itself, regardless of who is making money off it. I heard this interview, and this is kind of unrelated, but it really struck me as relevant to the way the community reacted to this. I heard an interview with Jack White. I think it's an older interview. I think he was talking to Conan O'Brien, and Conan O'Brien says, "Hey, I went to I think they go to a Cubs game or they go to a Boston Red Sox game and they play Seven Nation Army. Well, Conan and Jack White are sitting in the arena together and it's, don't. And he's he looks at him and he goes, that's the sound of money going into your bank. And he kind of laughs and says, yes. But he acknowledges that what that song was written about, what it meant to him when he wrote it, or the fact that he never thought it would be a hit, it doesn't mean anything. It's not his song anymore. I might make the royalties off it, but this is not mine. It's become something that I could have never even hoped or dreamed it would be. It's not mine. It's not mine. It's what everybody comes here. It's how they feel about how the game's going. It's how they feel about their team. And I feel like that's what Dungeons and Dragons is. You might buy the core books, you might play one or two of the adventures, but eventually you're off in a world that's just been kickstarted and it's about how you and your friends feel. And when somebody said, hey, we might take a little of that away from you, man, the backlash was massive. So for those who are listening and aren't familiar, you can read a ton of this. I don't think I want to bore you too much in the legalities, but basically TSR, the previous owner of the game, the first corporate, I guess, semi-corporate owner of the game after the Gygax family, they had been somewhat litigious. The game is bought by Wizards, and it turns into one of these things where an open gaming license is written. Open gaming license essentially says, listen, if you're homebrewing or if you're selling books or zines, which are always big in the scene, we're not going to sue you. We're not going to come after you. We're not going to be like those other guys.
Trying to help foster the community around it. It's okay, if people are making their own stuff, they're still going to buy some of the core books and things like that,
Yeah. And it's become a much bigger business. I mean, it's bigger than it was when I got into it, much bigger. It's much more accepted. It's not outcast culture. It's very much mainstream geek. And then I think, they came back and said, hey, we want money if you're making more than, was it 75,000 or 750,000? I forget what it was.
750,000.
750. We want money. We want to be able to revoke your right to produce stuff if we think the content's obscene and things like that. Some of it seemed to be with some good intent, but at the end of the day, it seemed like a grab. We need to make sure that we have a lid on how much money people can make on this, and which is massively going to affect a lot of third-party, publishers,
Right.
places like
There's
Kobold
some people that
Press.
have their livelihood off of making up a bunch of different campaigns for these things or making up monsters and stuff like that. And, so there's that.
Yeah, and I can see people in chat seem pretty much, yeah. I mean, 3.5 is basically 3.5 hack is 90% player rate. Yeah, I mean, it's just things like Pathfinder, things like Kobold Press, things like Critical Role. Like these things will all be massively affected, and the backlash was so huge that they've kind of retracted, and we're kind of waiting to see what the final offering is going to be. I would argue this, and you all can tell me what you think. I'll tell us too. I think they've done irreparable damage to their ability to publish stuff here in the near future anyway. At least with people who've been at it for a long time. The movie's going to come out. People who have no idea what it is are going to go buy a core set because they're like, I like the movie or whatever. But I think that there's going to be creators, I'm looking at places like Critical Role, who that's it. They're going to go to their own core system or another core system where they don't have to have the risk of this happening again, because it was never about the name Dungeons and Dragons. It was about the thing, the fire that it lit in your belly when you played it. So that I don't know, it's been a wild thing to watch unfold. And it also makes me feel good because it's a place where a community that loves something that's creative and fantastic seem to have as much weight as some corporate megalodon that ultimately holds the license. So that's it. Sorry, that was long. I had a Rob moment there.
That's cool though. That's cool.
Now, is this from the information you're giving from the leak still, or did Wizards ever come out with an official update on that? I know somebody had mentioned it would leaked it, and then it was all this reaction was based on the leak.
They never released that version of it. There's now like some promises being made about like an old OGL 1.2 now, which is really kind of pulled back the idea of any sort of royalty and any sort of what do you call it? Like any sort of I don't know what the term would be here from a copyright standpoint, but like just because you write something for the rule system doesn't mean that we own it, because that was kind of the statement that was in there before. Was like we own it in perpetuity if you use the OGL. I mean, places like Chaosium are just licking their chops, because like that's a incredibly popular system, particularly outside of the U.S. is the D100 system that Chaosium uses for Call of Cthulhu and stuff. And I've played Call of Cthulhu. I've got all the books sitting here. It's great. It's not hard to learn it. So I mean, I think Dungeons and Dragons does have to watch their back, because it wouldn't be hard to play a fantasy version of a D100 system like that, or just a variety of other things. Although somebody in chat probably knows better than me, You can't have a copyright on rules or whatever, or you can't have a trademark on rules, I think, is one of the big things that keeps coming up. But that doesn't mean you can afford to fight that in court against a huge company like Hasbro.
I mean, from a copyright perspective, it does hold a decent amount of weight that you can't copyright rules or processes or systems like that. So it's like they can't necessarily, like, that's why you can play Words with Friends on your phone, and it's like an obvious blatant ripoff of Scrabble. It's because they can't copyright it. You just can't use the Scrabble name. So it's like, okay, cool. But like the thing that really gets me about this is when 3rd edition D&D, wildly popular, everybody loved it. They moved to 4th edition D&D. They moved from the original OGL to something called the GSL, or the Game System License. Everyone hated it because it did the exact thing that they were trying to do here. So Paizo stopped making content and made Pathfinder. And then Pathfinder became the best-selling RPG for like 10 years. They were blowing D&D out of the water. And it's only like in the last 4 years that D&D's regained that sort of.
They opened it back up with 5th edition, and everybody jumped back on. So it's like, okay, everybody was excited to play again because they could do whatever they wanted and use all sorts of different stuff. And they're like, well, guess what? We're gonna lock some stuff down. We're like, oh wait, we don't bait and switch us now, that sort of thing.
Well, and the thing that's funny to me is like that one change that they did then is what spawned Paizo, or not Paizo, but Pathfinder. Made that such a large, like, multi-million-dollar company. And then now that they've done this again, like, there's so many different content creators that are just going, yeah, we're coming out with our own system, or we're going to write our own open gaming license for the stuff that we use so that everybody else can use it. And it's like, okay, here we go again. I don't know what's happening.
It's just corporate stuff, you know, big companies, you know, trying to maximize profits, you know, so.
Well, there was a lot of stuff in there about like them wanting to reserve the right to stop content that was being made that was like basically hate speech.
Yeah.
Or, you know, anything like that. And so it's like there was good intention, but there was just like certain lines in that first MGL that was, I mean, probably not even legally enforceable, but you know, just wild.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I think there's enough creative people out there, like Critical Role and others, where they can do their own thing and just be safe. I do agree with Chat and other people. I think they have shot themselves in the foot. And to make sure that this doesn't pop up again, just create their own system. I don't watch or listen to Critical Role because it's D&D. I listen and watch because of their creativity and their stories that they make. It doesn't matter what the system is. I fall in love with the characters and their stories that they do. I mean, for myself, I don't follow any of the books or anything like that. The only thing I use for the books are for like the stats of the monsters. Now I have like not almost all. I have a lot of the cards. I have all the monster cards. I have all the spell cards for every class and stuff like that. So
it's more fun to just homebrew and make it all up, you know.
Absolutely.
But yeah, like lion wolf squid and stuff like that. Like just make it up. Just have fun. So that's where I think they kind of shot themselves in the foot. It was one of those things where you just didn't touch it, you didn't mess with it, and they messed with it too much. And you know, people who are passionate about things can be unforgiving sometimes. And so I think they're really going to suffer for this, and we're going to see people start to make their own content, which I believe that they should now. To be safe, they should, so they don't ever have to worry about this kind of stuff again. They can just say, I've made my own. It is what it is. You know, you can't sue me.
And you know, there's so many more game systems in the RPG world now that are kind of board game learnable. Just to bring it back to what this podcast is about, in that like you can play a game that's a little bit less involved than D&D is, that has a lot of that same crunch, and you can play it in one night and you can teach it to some of your friends and you can kind of go, this is fun, we'll do it for a little bit and then we can do something else.
Right.
And that's something that, you know, we'll do this. I'll force you guys. We'll all do it. This group will do it. At some point we'll get offline and we'll play one of these. I have a bunch of them, and they're just absolute passion projects, and I think those people
stuff. Yeah.
Well, and just like little systems, I think I'd share with you guys like Cairn as a system, which feels like D&D, but you can just boom get
There's
going.
So many simple story games.
Cairn? Is that how you say that?
Oh, bro, I thought you said Karen.
Karen.
It's all about going and asking for the manager and fussing. It's a role-playing game. It's literally an exercise in doing returns of
that's a retail worker's dream.
Exactly.
just get to unload on somebody.
Matt, you have to be the customer service person. I know it's going to be a nightmare, but here comes Karen. How do you react?
Can we set it at Target?
Exactly. Would you like to use your red card today? Do they even do red cards anymore? I don't know. 5%. Whatever. It's all about Target Circle or something. Get the app. Anyway, but yeah, that is open gaming license stuff. We're going to talk a little bit about games that we played last year that we really enjoyed, and then we're going to follow that up immediately with a game that we're looking forward to. So we're actually going to start this with Adam. And which game did you play last year that you super enjoyed? I've got it showing on the screen, so feel free to say it.
All right, it's up there now. Good timing. Okay, so I picked Vengeance Roll and Write for mine. This is the last lot of Roll and Write. It's kind of something that I didn't play a lot before, but I got really into in the last 18 months. I know it's kind of having a little bit of a mini renaissance anyway, so I'm not like a unique snowflake in that sense. I might just be glomming on to the fact that it's showing up more. But Vengeance Roll and Write is the one that, like, it hit me because I was kind of playing these as backlogs, like games that were a couple years old a lot this year. And then, I don't know, there's something that really struck me when I started playing this where it's like, you're somehow playing a game that feels like a John Wick movie, but it's a roll and write, which is just
it's like roll and write with killing, basically.
Yeah, like
it's a roll and fight.
Oh,
yeah,
there you
roll
go.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, quite literally, it does say roll and fight on the box.
I picked the game and it's sitting right behind me, and I'm mispronouncing or misstating it. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. It plays pretty quick. It's not a long game. Even though you kind of have 2 boards to manage. So you have like a double tableau per person. You have like a kind of a character in a flashback management area, and then you have like the little gang hideout that you're going to go into, and you roll to purchase abilities. And there's a real-time rolling mechanic to it, which is also something I really like.
Oh,
yeah. Some people don't. I know some people don't like that, but
I'm not normally into roll and writes as far as like the ones where it's like, okay, get this resource and check this and circle this off. But like if there's more theme to it, or you feel like you're doing something like more exciting, and roll. I haven't played a roll and write that has real time elements to it before, so that sounds interesting.
Yeah, you might like this, Roy. Like as far as like taking that Galaxy Trucker rush to make sure your thing is going to work. It almost has a little bit of that feeling. It's mechanically very different, but like you're rolling with a big giant pool of dice against the couple of other people you're playing with, and you just keep going until you either get too many dice locked and you have to stop, or everyone has to stop. So like you want to do it efficiently, but there's a stress that's put into it. The theme of it is kind of like you're a little banged up and you couldn't do it right, so you're kind of getting in there and fighting dirty and doing it sloppy and taking some damage to get it done. In order to do it, and the thing that's really fun about it is that everybody's playing with a slightly different board. We're all not on a shared board. We're all kind of facing some slightly different elements, even though the mechanics might be similar. And then each character you play, they don't have special powers, they have special weaknesses. So everybody has a unique kind of like detriment that they have to overcome in order to be efficient. And it just hit really good for me because I had been enjoying things like cartographers or things like Railroad Inc., right, which I play with my kids a lot, which are these kind of just fun, quick roll and write games. And then this and things like this and what's the Dinosaur Island one, Roarin', right? Yeah, like those are starting to feel like a little bit more appealing to me, but this one just hit because it's like really does feel like an action game, even though it's a roll and write. Like it's legitimately very cool and kind of has a little bit of a beat 'em up feel. I want to say it plays in 25 or 30 minutes. It's very quick too. So
have you played the actual Vengeance board game that this is based off of?
I have never played Vengeance. I'm familiar with it. I've seen it at game groups a couple of times. And it looks cool. It looks like a game that I probably would play. So I'm probably more apt to give it a shot at this point too, because I really am enjoying this game. And you can play this solo too. You can sit down and play it with a timer instead of a shared dice pool.
Well, that's awesome. And your future game is one that was on my future game top 10 list that I did. I'm so stoked for The Dark Quarter.
I am really jacked for this.
Did you play Destinies?
I did. I've played Destinies, but for me, even more than Destinies, it is Chronicles of Crime.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I love Chronicles of Crime. I love kind of just the looseness. It's not loose, I guess, but kind of like the way you can sit around a coffee table and play that game with everybody and have like these kind of like real conversations about the subtlety in the story and what did that dialogue really mean, and no, I don't trust anybody. You know, that feeling that you get from it when like the casting director is like giving you every reason that they would just kill somebody for being a bad actress, you know, like just I really, really love that a lot, but I love the theme of this even more. And the fact that you have Van Ryder attached to it, which also
really good with story.
Yeah, Hostage Negotiator and Final Girl. I still haven't got my Final Girl season 2 Kickstarter in. Like I'm on apparently the absolute last wave of that. I still don't have it. But it's just got me really excited. This idea of this kind of like NOLA underbelly mystic kind of criminal element where it feels dangerous. I don't know. I don't know much about the game. I don't think there's a ton of information out.
I think it uses the same system as Destiny as far as like the actions and stuff like that, but I think there's more. I mean, I think it's very similar to that, but it's more dark and gritty, and it's got like the Van Ryder writing, and maybe there's a little bit more like mystical, like dark arts type stuff. I do wonder. It's like rated mature, so that's kind of interesting. You don't normally see board games with mature ratings on them. So I'm not sure what kind of content that's for, if that's for like excessive violence or whether it's like other things. I'm not sure, but it's
Yeah,
kind
I
of
mean, it could be
interesting.
artwork.
Yeah.
I was thinking of that when I saw it too, because it reminded me of like the content warnings back on the Crossroad cards for Dead of Winter back in the
Right.
day. Where I
And
was
then
like,
there
the
was some
language
time
and the app.
stories stuff that had like a little bit of like, oh, this could have like nudity or whatever in it and stuff like that. It's kind
Yeah.
of interesting. But yeah,
yeah, it looks great. I love that Kurt Russell is on the cover. That also
Exactly.
makes me really happy. I'm just really stoked on this. Like, I don't know a lot. Like, I would love, like you said, I would love to see something that's got that Destiny's vibe, but has that danger from some of the Van Ryder games. And then, give me that idea. Like, make the characters feel dangerous the way that Chronicles of Crime does. I want it super bad.
it's extremely high on my want to play list for next year, so I'm super stoked about it coming out.
Super interesting to me because I
Yeah, it looks great.
nothing about this at all.
Yeah, did
I
you
don't
ever
know
play
where I've been.
Destiny's, Matt or Rob?
I've-
Destiny's is kind of like a medieval slash like just like medieval like mystical stuff, but it's like it feels like you're playing Mansions of Madness a little bit, but it's competitive. So it's like 3 players and you're all kind of doing different quests against each other, and I feel like this game's gonna be like that, but set in New Orleans with like black magic.
It's on my
stuff going
list. It's on my list because I remember you actually brought up Destiny's this past summer.
I think you would
House.
really like Destiny's, Rob, especially with how much you like Mansions.
Yeah, and I also had this game on my want to for 2023 as well. So I was happy to see that somebody had put it on there. So
Awesome. Well,
It sounded like there were some elements from Detective City of Angels in this too, from what I
that's
remember.
cool.
So
Oh, that would be
and I know that's kind of like where you could,
And this one's
depending on how you
cooperative
ask
as opposed to
questions,
competitive. So that's kind of
you
cool
could,
too.
yeah. So there's some maybe interesting, when you discuss things with people, they might be lying to you. Maybe I'm not sure if that's integrated in this or not, but I think the Van Ryder might have done elements like that.
That's awesome. That does seem very much like a Lucky Duck thing too, because they do that in Chronicles of Crime also. So
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Hmm.
All right, Courtney, your game from last year.
All right. Mine was Return to Dark Tower
Mhm.
from Restoration Games, which is another co-op game. I'm a big fan of co-ops.
Another app.
Another app, I guess, driven game. It's got this. They based it up with, if you know of Restoration Games, they base all of their games off of games from older games, and they bring them back to life and kind of change up the rule set. And I think the original Return to Dark Tower, or Dark Tower, I guess it was called before, was a competitive game, and they made it co-op. I think it still has a competitive mode, but I've never played that mode before. But you've got this amazing electronic tower in the middle that like drops skulls out, and you're trying to compete quests and ultimately defeat this ultimate evil in the tower. And it's so much fun. Each player has like different powers and abilities that they get to level up with their character as they go along. And I don't know. I think this is one of the few games, or when we get lots of games in, but it speaks to how quickly we get them played. And this was as soon as it came in, I was like, okay, we're learning how to play this right away. We're gonna play it, and I was so excited to get it, and it was not a letdown whatsoever. So I think we actually got to play this at the Dice Tower retreat, like
Oh, nice.
few months before we got it. Justin was playing it showcasing it with people, and so we got to play it there. We lost horribly, but that lets me know that I like a game when I like lose horribly and still want to like go back and play it over and over again. But there's so much content in it. There's so many like big baddies and stuff to fight, so you can change up the game. I don't think we played a single same game yet, so.
Me and Ruthie played this with Chris and Wendy at their
Yeah.
house. What did you think of the game?
I liked it. I like the app on how you
Yeah.
have to like where it tells you to go inside
Like caves and stuff?
in caves, yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't know whether you're gonna make the right choice or not. I'm like,
Yeah. I like the whole, like, they have this system where you flip over cards, and sometimes it's, it's something good, or sometimes it's something bad, and you just have to kind of prepare as best you can before you go into the dungeons and fight stuff. It's fun.
A little bit of pressure luck, I think, in that stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's pretty fun. And that tower is ridiculous. Just
It's
spinning
amazing,
and
yeah.
groaning and
and it plays
being mad at
music,
you.
right?
It like plays music. They should have made it double as a Bluetooth speaker though, so you could just
Ooh.
listen to things through it all the time.
it's so
That's
gorgeous.
an idea.
Or program it with
I-
Alexa. You could just be like, Dark Tower, turn off all lights, and then
Yeah.
you're just
Yeah,
The game, the mat and everything looks so pretty. I think I saw it at Kent and Courtney's house, or I know I definitely saw it at Dice Tower, and they had a Kickstarter that happened last year, I believe, for a
Right.
second edition. I backed everything.
Yeah, I was wondering, have you
great.
played this, Rob?
No, not yet, but I want to so badly. It looks so good, and I do love the fact that it comes with an app as well. I think it'll make it easier to get more people to play the game. Yeah,
This seems like a Rob game to me.
Yeah, and it's pretty accessible. You can play this with a lot of different people.
Yeah.
I mean, the app helps a lot with the rules overhead and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, I think this is one of the first like bigger games that we played, and you didn't have any issue like getting into it at
Right,
all.
no.
Like it's very cooperative. You can work together. You just build up a few different resources and go exploring and trying to do your objectives, basically.
Right.
And Courtney, your other game is
Yes.
a game from the designer of Wingspan, right?
Yes, from Elizabeth Hargrave. I love Wingspan. I love Mariposa. I just love everything she has done. So when I heard she was coming out with a new game, I was like, oh, we're backing this. So it was a Kickstarter, but I'm sure they're probably, I think it's by Pandasaurus. They're bringing it to retail,
Yeah.
I'm sure. But I think it's kind of got some roll and write
Yeah.
elements to it, Adam. So you might have to look out for this one too. But I'm a big genetics person, and so this one's all about breeding foxes it's all about studying the fox experiment was about studying the domestication of foxes, so it's kind of based off of that, and which I think is just a really neat theme, and so it looks really cool. I think the Dice Tower, I think they did a playthrough of it. I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
I ran the
didn't
stream,
watch
so I
it
didn't
on
actually
video.
play the game, but
Yeah.
they seem to really enjoy it. They all had good things to say about it. So
Yeah, I'm excited to get this one. So hopefully it'll be released this year. Who knows with Kickstarter, but
Looks so good.
yeah, I love that Elizabeth Hargrave always has like that touch of like science and like nature and stuff like that in her games, and you
Yeah.
always know that they're going to be like factually sound, which is kind of an interesting touch in like all of her stuff.
Yeah.
She's like really big into that thing, so that's always awesome.
yeah, and she's a terrific ambassador for her games and for the research that she puts behind them. So I wish her nothing but luck. I did not kickstart this, but I will end up spending a ton of money on it. So.
yeah, who can say no to fox meeples? You know.
Exactly. Well, next we have the game from last year that for Ruthie, but we just actually played this on the cruise, so we
Yes.
kind of cheated and just added a game from last year into now.
Yeah. I love this game. It's so cute. Like
What's the name of it?
Flamecraft, sorry. Yes. I love the details with the dragons. It's so adorable. So you go around collecting resources, and then you could either what is it called? Gather
Yeah.
or enchant. And then you collect the resources, and you have to like strategically place your dragons on your goal, because you have what are those things called in the
Just little like town places, basically, or
no, the town places, but then you have like goals in the center of the game
yeah.
where you're trying to work towards so I was like racking up on resources. I was like, I'm
Yeah,
getting
you were
rich.
always rich the entire game, and I'm over here
Yeah.
like scrounging around, like just barely making any
The artwork
resources.
it's really nice and detailed.
Gorgeous.
It's so pretty.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
this was a hard choice. I almost picked this one too. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, Corey taught us how to play, and yes.
And it's like relatively simple overall. It's really
Right.
just like gather resources to fulfill different goals or whatever, which you've seen a lot of worker placement style games. It's not even really worker placement because you have one dragon that you're moving, but the
Right.
location's going to build up as the game goes along.
Right.
You're putting more and more dragons out on the board and gaining more and more resources. And it's just really cute and really fun. Like
Yeah.
it's a breezy game, and I think if people haven't tried it, it's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun.
I liked how each of the different areas that you could go to the board got like more powerful as the game went on
Yes.
too. So it's
As
like
you put more dragons onto it.
yeah. So it that made it more fun to play too, because
Right.
you're like each turn felt more powerful.
Right.
Those shops are semi-random too, so it's always going to be a little bit different every time you
Right.
play. And it's a euro too. It's a
Definitely,
great euro.
definitely is a euro.
It's a great looking euro.
But I'm a fan of like those family weight, like simple like euros that have like a lot of replayability in them, and I feel like Flamecraft is definitely there. You know, it's one that you can get out with almost anybody, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure, yeah.
But yeah, and then your future game. I've never heard of this game before, but what is
Last
this game?
Light.
Another euro.
Dang it!
I learned that I love combat in games playing Last Light
Yes.
and destroying Roy. Like I get to wreck Roy at his own game. I think he sometimes lets me, but whatever.
Sometimes I can't help but get destroyed.
He always has to sit to my right, so when the board rotates, all his ships are right in front of me, so I get to wreck him. And the details on it, like I really love how the planets look, or and the spaceships, and I really like the simultaneous play with everyone.
Yeah. It gets crazy in those high player count games.
But my favorite thing is that every time I've played differently. I've never played the same game twice. And I got to play for a little bit at the on the cruise.
So someone went to the bathroom.
Someone went to the bathroom and they asked me, "Can you take my place?" I was like, "Oh yeah, of course." So I guess she had like peace treaties. And I didn't know, and I just started wrecking everyone in the game.
I wasn't playing, I was just teaching. So
Oh, God.
her husband's like, "My wife would have never done this." I'm like, "I know you're lying." Like he's like, "I am, yeah." So like I was wrecking him. I was like, so when she comes back, I'm like, "I got you this many lights, and you got this fleet out here in the center of the board." She's like, "Holy smokes!" I was like, yeah, go. But then they ended up wrecking her. So I tried.
And your favorite alien for this game is like the giant worm slug thing.
That destroys. Yeah, I get to destroy like the constructs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
It's
she
so
doesn't
much
want any of the friendly faction. She wants the one that's just about destroying stuff.
And it's terrifying. Like I love the artwork as well. Like all the different alien. Yeah. It's really nice. And I got to play this with you guys. And that was fun. That was a lot of fun.
It was a great
That was
time.
A lot of
time.
smack
Good time.
talking. But yeah.
Grey Fox did send me some of the dice for the game though. And they turned out really nice. I'm like, I'm so excited.
Cool.
I'm sitting right there along with everybody else, just being like, when's the game come out? It takes forever, man.
Yep. But that's mine for Last Light.
I think it's gonna have a big year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It scratches a certain itch. It looks really good on the table. It's like, I don't know, dude.
There's so many things that I never expected, There's so many people that I didn't expect to like it that have been like really jazzed about it. I'm like, wait, what? They're like, oh yeah, I hate 4X games, I hate space games, but I love this game. And I'm like,
you don't have to
doesn't
like
make
4X
sense.
like the game, Roy, because it's so tight. It's such a tight game, I think, and that's probably what's going to make the big difference for everybody. It's going to be good. Kickstarter second edition is going to be a huge pair. GameFound second edition, just in a year and a half. Just be ready.
Get those expansions ready.
And it catches everyone's. It has like table presence because every time we set it up, people are always constantly stopping by, and we're like, "It's Last Light," and handing
and then
it
I
out.
have to be like, no, this is just the prototype. Just wait.
Right.
Yes.
I know your
The fact
prototype is
that the board
amazing.
rotates.
Right.
I love that the board rotates and everything like that. Like, and there's so much more. And I think you guys have hit the nail on the head. But not just because we love you, Roy, but even outside of Roy, it's just a solid, amazing game that you can play in under 2 hours with 8 people. A 4X game with 8 people in under 2 hours is unheard of. So absolutely amazing. And I hope you are working on expansions and new factions and stuff like that, because I think Grey Fox would drop the ball if this was not pushed on even more. I think it's going to have a lot of success.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how everything comes together. And Shane and them are like mad lads over there. I'm like, I made this game with crazy 3 planets and all this crazy stuff. And Shane's like, yeah, but what if we put a light in the middle of it? And now they're going to have a star that you can buy that like lights up and stuff. And I'm like, you guys are even crazier than I am. Like, so we're going to see how it all comes together. But I'm definitely excited for it to actually come to people's tables. Like, it's been years. It's been years, guys.
Man, I remember playing Moonquake Escape back in your garage, and like us being like very like about it, and then you were like, "This feels like this could be better." Like,
yeah, and like I like
stuff more.
Right. Yeah, and I mean it has no similarities to that besides the fact that there was a rotating board. You know?
Not at all. That was it.
So, but yeah, I had like an old design that was like a fantasy 4X game that just didn't work out, but I just cannibalized a bunch of different stuff together and tried to like make it work. So hopefully it does. I think it does. I guess I don't know.
I mean, you've already funded, man.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I guess we'll go on to Kent's game.
Sounds good. So 2022. I had to go with Mass of Darkness 2. So I never played the original Mass of Darkness. Well, sorry, I played the original Mass of Darkness once as a demo. And it seemed fine, but it was just like a generic dungeon crawl.
Were we all in the same demo game?
I don't know. It was at CMON Expo.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And that's when Rob like immediately was like, sell this.
Yeah. So it wasn't a bad game, but I feel like it gave you the feel of Zombicide. I had tons of that. It didn't really do anything new or special. So when Mass of Darkness 2 came out, I was like, who cares? Whatever. I don't need back another CMON game right now. So later on, I hear good things about it. I try it. And it feels very different than Mass of Darkness 1. You've got it is a kind of generic dungeon crawl, but you have each character you use has a unique way it plays and like kind of like a unique mini game. So like if you're the rogue, you're doing kind of like a bag building thing, and it's kind of a little bit push your luck because you're drawing tokens. You hope that you get what you need to do what you need to do. You kind of get bonuses if you use the tokens for like whatever the token has on it, but you can use the token for anything else. You have like a hunter has a push your luck kind of thing where you flip over cards and you're trying to get within a certain number range, maybe like blackjack a little bit, somewhat. The wizard's got this cool like dial you rotate around and like you put spells onto it and it charges up spells. I played with some of the expansion characters. The druid can like shapeshift and do all sorts of cool stuff, but everybody feels pretty different and you feel pretty unique and pretty powerful. And I don't love super hard co-ops. I kind of prefer my co-ops to be you go in, destroy everything, have a lot of fun, roll a bunch of dice. And that's kind of what this game gives you. You feel strong the whole time. You go get more weapons, you become even more powerful. You just like demolish stuff. You just, kick the door in and just destroy. So it's really fun. I like also the darkness aspect of the game where it's like typically in a lot of games you're standing in a dark room. It's not good for you. And Mass of Darkness is great. You get to roll an extra die. It's this powerful die. It lets you activate your special ability of your character. It's just a lot of fun. So it's a co-op. We've played this quite a bit. It works well with pretty much every player count we've used, and it feels very cooperative. You're discussing what you need to do. You're like, okay, why don't you all go over there? You go try to open that door for us. We'll come in and take care of these guys that spawn as we open up this other door. And it just feels like it's pretty easy. Also, rules-wise, like I feel like CMON over the years has like definitely gotten to the point where their rules are getting better and better and more streamlined, and like the game just flows a lot better. So it's just a lot of fun, flows well. The minis look great, the production's great. It's super modular. I think it's really fun if you like somewhat easier co-ops.
I almost think they did this game a disservice by calling it Mass of Darkness 2. I feel like it could have had better success if they just completely rebranded it as a different game.
But I will say
it's flying under the radar a little bit just because the first one wasn't as well received. But it has way more meaningful decisions, Those mini games that you're playing with each character just feels like you're doing cool things. I mean, that's what this game gives you. Is like, I feel like I'm doing something cool. I was playing the wizard and like, I'm using this spell and triggering this and doing this. Like, I love the little combos and stuff you can build with those boards. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, you feel like you're doing really cool stuff. The old Mass of Darkness game integrates with it if you get the upgrade pack. And you can use all those characters in the new game with the upgrade pack. So they have you can still use their kind of unique mini games. Because each class, like each subclass, has its own minigame. So like there's like 17 rogues you can choose from if you have all the extra stuff. You just pick whichever one you want to use, and you still have the minigame for like the rogue class. So everything integrates really well too. If you have the original one, definitely mix it in with the new one. It works great. So that is my 2022 Massive Darkness 2.
And next year is, how do you say the name of this game?
I think it's Septima. So this is from Mind Clash Games. I don't love every game Mind Clash Games comes out with, but they always have really good production. They make some pretty heavy games. Probably one of my favorites of Mind Clash was Anachrony, which is kind of a big, heavy kind of worker placement time travel themed game. That looks really good. And this one it's supposed to be one of their more accessible games. You're playing as a coven of witches, and you're trying to attract more witches to your coven. And as you're playing, there's a lot of interaction in the way that you're gonna do simultaneous card reveal. I've heard that's a pretty good mechanism.
Concordia has it. It has to be good.
Yeah, there you go. And when you're depending on which location you decide to go to, people get benefits from you. So like if a bunch of witches go to the one spot, everyone gets a bonus. Except it causes the townsfolk to be like, hey, what's going on over there? So it puts more suspicion on the witches as a whole, and there's witch trials and things that happen. So you might lose witches if things get too suspicious. So you kind of want to maybe work with people to go somewhere you maybe don't want to. It does seem like it's still got a lot going on, but as far as Mind Clash games go, it's probably one of the easier ones. It just looks really neat. I don't know a whole lot more about it. I just want to try it, and I like what I see here.
It's really pretty. The art, I didn't know anything about it until you posted it in the group, and it's just really pretty.
Yeah,
so,
it looks really good. Yeah, I mean, it may be pretty heavy, but
all their games look good. I feel
yeah,
like.
they do. They have a really good table presence.
Absolutely. I've just started looking more at Mind Clash stuff specifically because of how good their games look. And it's like, I saw the Kickstarter for this pop up, and it's like, hey, would you like to be a coven of witches? And I was like, oh my god, my dream.
So yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Absolutely.
If he weighs the same as a duck, therefore a witch.
Oh man,
that's awesome. So Matt, your game of last year.
Oh man, my game of last year is sitting beside me, still in Shrink. It's Libertalia, Wings of Galecrest.
Wait. Did you play it though, or?
No, so I played it at Dice Tower Con and was really impressed with it. Mostly because I never played the original.
Right.
I never played this one. So I knew nothing about it going in. And the game itself is just, you have a deck of cards numbered like 1 through I think 60 or something like that. Everybody has the same cards, and each round you guys all have the same hand of cards. So you know all the information. Your goal is to try and lead a little quest to get treasure. And the whole game is just trying to outwit your opponents on how you're playing certain powers, when you're playing them, just trying to figure out what other people are doing so that you can maximize your loot intake, I guess. But it was a really good game. It's really tight. The decision making's pretty crunchy, but it's doesn't overstay its welcome. It's an hour total, and it's something that doesn't put a whole lot of stress on the brain. I feel like it's a good mid-weight game that you can pop in, feel like you've made some really good decisions, and then move on to something else.
I've heard amazing things about Libertalia, but it's one of those that I've never actually got a chance to play.
Yeah.
Do you prefer the aesthetic of the new version or the old version? I know you said you haven't played the old version, but do you like the gritty pirate theme more, or do you like the anthropomorphic flying ship animals or whatever better?
I mean, personally, I like the Stonemaier ones just because I like Stonemaier's.
Sure, the quality components are probably amazing, right?
And it's great. The artwork, it's it's not overdone. It's pretty simple and straightforward, and I don't know, it just looks good. I guess I prefer bird people to humans.
Who doesn't?
Right. We all live on the same planet.
I love Libertalia, and I think they did this game a whole hell of a lot of justice. I picked it up. I have both copies now. This is you got to own it. I also have to, and I'll very slightly derail this for some of us. I love that when this game got picked up by Stonemaier and put out, that there was an immediate cry for Jamie to do Ethnos online.
Oh wow, yeah, that would be amazing.
Because Ethnos is like a similar thing where it's like this game
Yeah.
that's just really fun and it's a really great weight, and that's what Libertalia is. It's this great weighted game. It's like a perfectly weighted game. And as I know a lot of us share this feeling about Ethnos. Like Ethnos is another one of those games where, man, it's a really great weight. It's got really good replayability, and it just looks like a dog threw it up into a paper bag.
It's the same designer. I think maybe that's why they were bringing it up. Maybe, possibly. I don't know.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I hope he gets a hold of it somehow. Like that would be the ultimate redo game for me. Like,
Yeah. Somebody definitely needs to redo Ethnos because it's like, it's solid.
Libertalia is great for a high player count that you want to play quickly because it's all simultaneous too, mostly. And if you have
I'm
somebody
always a
kind of
fan.
running the cards, like you kind of just execute like a line of kind of like a programming game. You just say this card happens, this card happens, this card happens, and somebody can just kind of do that a little bit. So it's pretty good. It's
Plus,
fun.
you
It's
know,
great.
yeah. I mean, how many 6-player games can you play in an hour? That
Yeah, I know.
some deduction games or like
Mhm.
dexterity games. It's so good.
And Matt, your upcoming game.
Man, my upcoming game for 2023 is a game called Station Fall. It is
It's got a monkey.
wild, and you can play the monkey. It's incredible. It's a character that you can be. But the whole premise of this game is like,
Oh, wow.
you know, we've seen a recent trend in the video game world with like Among Us and some of the other trader type games that you're maybe more familiar with like a werewolf. But Station Fall sort of takes that concept and blows it up a little bit. I highly recommend people looking up pictures either on the Kickstarter page or on BGG because the board is so cool. It's just this fully realized space station. Each compartment's got its own different things that you can do. So you're going around making checks, trying to do these secret objectives. But the whole time the spaceship is falling into Earth, it's going to explode at some point. You're just trying to do what you need to do and get off. And it's like...
So are there
It's this
traders
fun
in it,
little-
or is it?
So there are some people who are working who are trying to save the station. There are some people who have their own sort of secret objectives. I don't necessarily know how the trader mechanic works,
Interesting.
but there's a lot of stuff that you can do, and you're also utilizing other people's characters. So you try to make like little sort of parties with people where you're like, oh, I can trust you, so we should do stuff together. And then you start doing stuff, right? And then they throw you out an airlock, and you're like, huh, whoops. And it's
Not the
great.
monkey out the airlock again.
Yeah. Absolutely. I don't know. It just looks like a good time, and everything that I've read about it just makes me really jazzed for more social deduction because that seems to be what I'm vibing with right now.
It gives me a little bit of Nemesis vibes in some ways.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah, it's very much a move around the compound, try to fix everything that's going wrong.
I wonder how this will compare to something like Battlestar Galactica, you know?
Oh yeah,
Because Battlestar Galactica has that same kind of vibe, you know, with the trader and the keeping the ship together, you know. But this will be more science-y, you know, as opposed to science fantasy or whatever.
yeah. I don't know. I'm just really excited to get it, see how it plays.
That's
It's gonna be
awesome.
good.
All right, Rob, your game of last year.
My favorite game of last year was After the Empire, which shouldn't be too surprising for a lot of people. I love Gray Fox games. I love Champions of Midgard, and so when After the Empire came out, I believe it actually came out officially like 2021, but I finally was able to play it last year. I love the idea of the resource management, as well as I've got to build my castle because I have no idea where I'm going to get attacked from, and do I have enough food, and do I put my guys in the right positions?
Yeah.
You know, because these tiles and everything's going to flip over, and you know, I may be really weak on this one side, but I'm going to take a chance, and then you completely get wrecked. I love the aesthetics of the game. It's one of those games where it's very pretty. I actually, though, however, I don't like the mats, the Kickstarter mats. I prefer the cardboard. I think the cardboard is real thick and real clean. I think it shows well. I just think that the mats that they did with the Kickstarter, which I have all of it, just are a little darker, and I like the pop more of the cardboard, and I think it holds everything together better. It's just cleaner and prettier. But it's just one of those games where, again, yes, it's a Euro style game, but there is so much press your luck, and you don't know what's going to happen. So it's like rolling dice without rolling dice, which is one of the things that I love about this. Which is also, I love Champions of Midgard. That's still my favorite Euro game of all time.
It's got a ton of risk management, right?
Yeah, it's press your luck, risk management, and I'm working against you, but I'm also not working against you. Like it's whoever has the most points at the end of the game, but I'm not going to do something where I necessarily block you. Where I know you can do that in Champions of Midgard, I can fill up a space where you can't necessarily get that resource. So I'm controlling my own board. But I remember when we were playing at Dice Tower Con, there were times where I felt bad for others and for myself because we just get wrecked. Like, I don't know who it was. It might have been Matt at one point. Had 20-something guys inside of his castle.
Holy smokes.
It was really, really rough. And I got kind of lucky. I built up my castle with my stone and stuff early on, but then I didn't have enough guys to defend. So at the end of the game, I think the last round, my castle got overrun. And then I think Kent won, which I hate, but Kent typically
hate it.
I did not play that game.
You didn't play with us?
I've never played it before.
It might have been Lee. It might have been Lee that won. I know I didn't win. But it was a blast. I love the look. If you have the opportunity to get the upgrade pack, the original game comes with like little cubes to represent the different colors of the different pieces.
Yeah.
I'm very thankful that I got the upgrade pack. So your little cube now becomes a miniature. It's a pretty game. It's a well done game, and it's fun. It doesn't take that long. I think we played in about an hour and a half, and that was the first time ever playing the game. So.
The thing I love about this one is it's really unique in the fact that, like, the more points you have, which is gold in this game, the more gold you have, the more things are going to attack you. Yep. So it's like, it's this own, like, kind of balancing mechanic of, like, if someone's really far ahead, there's going to be a lot more stuff attacking you back. So you're trying to not have that much gold, but it also makes more sense because it's like, if you have a bunch of gold, all the people are coming into your castle trying to steal it from you. I love the theme of this game and the way this game plays together. I at Gen Con, the designer was teaching this to like some people, and like I walked up in front of the designer and started pitching the game to those people as he was like showing it to him, and he's like, it was just so funny like watching Roy like tell other people about my game like right in front of me. And then they did a podcast. I didn't even know they were Board Game Media people, and they're like, yeah, Roy tossed the game better than the designer. I just thought it was really funny. But yeah, this game's a blast, and it's that pressure, luck, and risk management. It's what makes it really fun.
Yeah.
Is there like
that's what
this is under my
coming back to a game. You would love it, Adam. I really think you would.
Yeah,
really,
I was gonna say. Sounds like something I'd really like, and I literally again until you posted this, I was like, this is way off or way underneath my radar. And now like, it's in my Amazon cart right now.
Well, like I don't know what it is about Gray Fox games, or I know I'm a sucker for medieval and for fantasy, and also the Viking theme. And you guys know I'm not a big Euro person, right? Like I like the idea of Euro, but I like the people I'm playing with more than the game that I'm playing. But these are the types of games where it doesn't feel like a Euro. Yes, it's a Euro, sure. But it doesn't feel like it to me.
I think you're like me, Rob. I like Euro games with combat in them. Like, that's just it. It's like, let me fight something, let me blow something up, or something be fighting me and, like, having to fend it off. Like, that's, like, the line for me. It's like, if
Can
all
goblins
I'm doing...
come try to steal these turnips, and then
exactly.
I'll be happy
If
to
goblins are trying to steal the turnips, I like the game. If I'm literally just planting them and then turning them in for points at the end of the game, it's boring to me. But if, like, there's some sort of combat in it, for some reason I like them. I don't know what's wrong with me.
I can't handle a game where it's an algorithm, and like I said in the past, you know that you've won by the end of the second or third round. Like to me, that's so annoying. One, I typically don't play a lot of games over and over again, especially heavy Euro games, because if I do, it's with people like Matt, Kent, or Courtney, and we're typically playing brand new games. So if I play with somebody who's played that before, I've already just sort of mentally checked out. Because I have no desire to learn the algorithm, to then beat. I want to enjoy the game. I want to enjoy the experience, right? And that's, or it's like kind of like Clank. Like you're pressing your luck, you're going deep, you know, you're trying to get that thing, whether it's the cave or the spaceship. That's what I love about these style of Euros is like, yeah, my castle was great. My castle was built up, but then it screwed me at the end of the game. And so I love that thing where I have consequences to my actions rather than I just know if I pick up this resource card and if I get this pack, then I can have enough workers by the end of the round 3 where I'll win the game. To me, that's not fun.
I don't want to spend the first 30 minutes deciphering the beige hieroglyphics to try to learn the game. I want to just be able to get into it.
Yeah, just get into the game.
Instead of killing goblins, you're feeding your people. That's the hard part of video games.
But I like that though. I like that. And if you don't have enough to feed your people, then you can't necessarily heal. And it's just fun. It's just fun. But the other downside is Kent and Courtney are such amazing people. I will play those Fox games. I'll play that new Fox game when it comes out. I guess.
Did you not like Wingspan, Rob? I know I played it with you once.
I
played it with Tom.
I was surprised on how much I like Wingspan, but if I was by myself and I was not with any of you guys, I would play it 0 out of 10 times.
I think we might have all actually played it at
gorgeous game.
Dice Tower.
Gorgeous game, and I love, like you guys were saying, the research. Like I learned more about birds in that one game that I played than ever. I thought.
What do you need to know? Are birds even real anyway? Who knows?
Right?
Can't prove it.
They're just furry dinosaurs, right?
They're just surveillance drones.
And so I think it's a nice game and stuff like that, but I don't know. I like
so much
Wingspan. I think it's really pretty. I love the nest eggs. And then the nest, and then all the
They
other
taste
stuff.
delicious, honestly.
Yeah, the sweet tart jelly beans.
Oh, bro. So, but anyway, that was my game from last year that I really enjoyed.
And we talked about your future game a bunch.
Yeah, we already sort of talked about it. And so I'm going to take this time to plug an old kickback.
Oh, wow.
We need this Queen's Gambit rethemed as The Matrix. The fourth movie, don't see the fourth movie. But if you could retheme the Queen's Gambit as The Matrix, man, I'd go crazy. I'd lose it. I like the Queen's Gambit. I think it's a great game. But redo it as The Matrix.
Why haven't you designed it yet? Where are you at?
Yeah, come on.
Stranger Things is amazing. I'm so excited. I straight to retail. I like the idea that they're going to retail because it will get more people on it. I am a sucker for Kickstarters. There are several Kickstarters that I have, Cool Mini or Not, that I've never played because I want the exclusives. And so I think that could be amazing. But it does make sense that they probably have an IP or they have some type of contract saying that it has to go to retail for X, Y, or Z for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But Davio's attached. Cool Mini or Not is producing the game. It's going to be a fantastic game. And what I love most about this is I'll be able to play this with my wife and my friends. You know, my wife these last couple of years, like because of COVID, for a lot of people, it actually was nice that I had a board game collection. Like, okay, well, we can't do anything. What are we gonna do? I have a bunch of plastic in the basement. You want to try it? And now she's like doing D&D. We're getting ready to start our new campaigns. All excited about that. And we're playing more board games. And so I'm talking to her about this stuff. And in the past, I used to have to apologize. Now it's like, hey, would you want to try this? Like, there's not so much apology. Like, I still apologize just for other stuff. We play games. And Stranger Things, we've done Stranger Things parties where we've had friends over. We've gone over to friends' houses. So I know she wants to play it. She's already told me she wants to play it. And so very excited. If you didn't hear what it's about, listen to the beginning of the show. We talk about it in the news. And I forgive Rob Davio for Poop Sock.
You mean Seafall?
So, Colby is such a liar.
There was a game. Ruthie doesn't know about Seafall at all. There was a game that Rob Davio made called Seafall.
Get it for $10.
And
a waste of $10.
And on the Plaid Hat podcast, they said it was so amazing that like you wouldn't want to get away from the game, so you'd have to like poop in a sock because you just sit there playing it for so long. Rob took that analogy to heart, I guess.
Well,
It was not good.
I grew up playing Risk. I own 24 versions of Risk now. And when he made Risk Legacy, I've played 8 boards.
You had
of
him
Risk
on this pedestal, right?
Yeah, and if you play Risk Legacy, it's 15 games per board, and I've gone through 8 of them.
That's insane.
And so I love it. I haven't gotten the new Risk one yet, just because the reviews haven't been so great about it. I'm still going to buy it. I'll just get it at at a thrift shop or something. However, so I loved it. Rob Daviau did that, and it was like the first big Legacy game that came out. And then they were talking about Seafall, and it was so bad. It was so bad, and it broke my heart. But then Cthulhu Death May Die came out, and we loved every time I play that game. I think I've only beaten one mission. I've died and we've lost a lot more, but it's still so fun.
I think we basically learned like legacy games have to be based off of an existing game that's just rock solid for them to work properly.
Yeah.
Like all the good ones are based off of a rock solid game that they added stuff to, you know.
Well, Seafall feels like they cut out a lot of stuff. It feels like it could have been amazing. They could have added in a lot more, but they just cut out a lot of stuff, and it was very bland. And man, Colby, because Roy and we remember Summoner Wars and the Plaid Hat podcast back in the day.
I just taught Ruthie Summoner Wars last week.
Like I remember, I've been a fan of Plaid Hat from like the beginning. Like Roy was a fan of like episode 1. I became a fan of like episode 10. Like I was a huge fan, and so when Colby said that, I was so excited. And it's just not been the same. It's like one of those things you don't want to meet your heroes.
They'll only let you down. Colby.
But the amazing thing though is my wife a couple years ago I have my first board ever of Risk Legacy, and I had Rob Daviau sign it at a Gen Con a few years ago. She got it framed for me. So I have this beautiful frame of the board. I won it, so it has my signature on the board. And I've got Rob Daviau's signature. So
and then you played Seafall and you lit that on fire. I'm just kidding.
He shot it out of a cannon. Like Hunter S. Thompson's ashes. Just...
Colby's awesome, and Rob Daviau's
into
awesome
a sock.
too.
Yeah, they're both fantastic. So, Stranger Things.
He redeemed himself with Dark Tower and plenty of other things, and Downforce.
Yeah, you got to play Dark Tower, Rob.
Oh,
Yeah, you should play
so
Dark Tower for
excited.
sure.
Like I said, I went all in. I did get the mat and all that kind of stuff for Dark Tower. I think the only thing I didn't get were the card sleeves, but I got about everything. It was several $100s later. I got a
Oh goodness.
and so I'm excited for Dark Tower, very, very, very much so. It just looks so beautiful. It really does, and so.
So for me, my game of 2022 is War of the Ring, the card game. I guess you guys or people might know that I'm a super big fan of the War of the Ring, the board game. This game is extremely different from that, but still has the Lord of the Rings theme and a little bit of the iconography and stuff. In this game, it's mostly built as a 4-player game, which is kind of interesting. Like each player plays a different deck with different characters in it. Like you could be the Free Peoples that has like the Rohan and like the Hobbits or something like that, or you could be like Gondor and the Elves, and you're trying to play these different decks to try to like get your side to gain like different like battle locations. So each time there's a battlefield that comes out and a path that comes out. And basically you're going to be taking turns with each of the players. The Shadow players, of course, playing like the Uruk-hai and the Mordor characters. You're going to be playing guys out there that have all sorts of different special abilities and basically just different amounts of strength that they add to these different locations. It feels like there's a lot of games that have this sort of like trying to win bases from each other, but the special abilities and just the awesomeness of the characters that you're playing in the game, the fact that they're all Lord of the Rings stuff, and you have this whole reserve area where cards can give you special abilities if they're in the reserve as well. I just really enjoyed this game. There's a lot of hand management and kind of like managing drawing cards, but then putting out the cool. You just have those opportunities where it's like, okay, I have Strider, and then I have the sword, and then I exhaust the sword to be able to bring this sight back out, and now we're having a battle there. There's these cool combos you can kind of do in the game. I played this with Stephen Bonacore probably like 5 or 6 times now. I played it just with him, just me and him, 2 players once, but then most of the other times have been with like other people as well, and it's been a blast to play. I've just had so much fun with it. And I just enjoy collectible card game style stuff. This is not a collectible card game, but it feels like that. And then I just enjoy that Lord of the Rings IP. And it is kind of like it doesn't feel like playing the War of the Ring, the board game, but it definitely has like that awesome art and like some of the same iconography, which makes me really enjoy the game.
Is it a living card game, or is it just?
It's
straight
not
up
even that. It's literally just you get what you get in the box. They might have expansions in the future, but it is also pretty long. Like it is like 2 to 3 hours to play through this game. You're basically trying to have the most points at the end of like going through all the different locations. But also if one player gets 10 points ahead, then they just win the game. There's a whole mechanic too where there's a path site that you're working for as well. And the shadow players can just pile on as much like characters on there as they want to try to like find the ring and corrupt Frodo. So there's a bunch of opportunities as a shadow player to like just try to crush the Free Peoples. But the Free Peoples have all sorts of cool, interesting stuff to try to like mitigate that as well. It just has a lot of that Lord of the Rings like theme and flavor, and the artwork is really nice in it. And it gives me like the vibe of like Lord of the Rings pre the movies. Like it just feels like that sort of vibe, but it's like a really solid game as well. I just have a blast with it. So yeah, the War of the Ring, the card game.
Do you have a favorite player count for it?
I would say probably play it at 4 because that's what it's meant for. You can play it at 2, but then it modifies rules in sort of interesting ways. Like it'll be like, oh, the shadow player has to discard a card, or each shadow player has to discard a card. Well, if you play a card that says that, if you're playing 2 players, the shadow player has to discard 2 cards instead of just 1 card. And you're kind of managing a lot more cards if you're playing just 2 players, where if you're playing 4 players, you have that cooperation. I played this with Justin Jacobson and Steven and Rod, which is another local guy. He worked on like HeroScape and worked with Colby back in the day on a bunch of that stuff. I played with those 3 guys, and we just had a lot of fun with the cooperation between me and Justin, and Rod and Bonacore talking trash. It was just a lot of fun playing with the group and having like that team aspect to the game.
Sorry to interrupt. I bought a shelf last year off of Facebook Marketplace. I went to go pick it up, and the person had 5 boxes of HeroScape stuff. I was like, please let me buy this from you. I'll just buy it right now. And they were like, sorry, I can't. My partner will kill me. Like if I was like, I'll give you extra. Please let me buy this. HeroScape is such an amazing game, and it's so hard to get your hands on anything. So sorry, you said HeroScape in my mind. I just remember seeing like this stack of boxes in this garage to pick up this IKEA shelving. So good. So I'll be quiet again.
But yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, War of the Ring, the card game is fun. So I enjoy it. And my future game, I changed what I have on here just because I didn't get a chance to talk about this game. Oh yeah, marriage, the future. Me and Ruthie got engaged since the last podcast. If you don't know, so
Yay!
And she did say yes, so that is an important fact as well.
Yes.
So.
Well, I wasn't
I know that was brave to do it in front of everybody.
exactly. I had no. I'm just kidding.
It's crazy. I know I posted videos on Facebook, but I think the YouTube video of like the whole show that we did is going up on the Dice Tower tomorrow. So like you'll be able to see like from the cruise ship like camera guy's perspective of like everything that
Your
happened.
entrapment will be immortalized on the Dice Tower.
Oh, exactly. But no, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
And,
I was caught off guard.
You were shook, right?
Oh yeah. What's
That's
funny
wonderful.
is that I had no idea. I'm just playing like the game, right? And I didn't even know Jason was sitting next to me. So he asked the question. I was like, what is going on? And then Jason's right there with the microphone, like, what? Yeah. I was like, what is going on? And then like he's dragging me through the backstage to get to Roy. And he still had the microphone in my face. I was like, hold on.
That's Jason for you.
Yeah, that sounds just like Jason.
And he's like dragging me. It was really nice and beautiful.
Yeah, and we had all the kids there, so that was
Yeah.
really fun too. So it was awesome.
That's lovely.
Were they excited too?
Thank you.
Oh yeah, they were super.
Yeah.
Yeah, my daughter was like, so you guys are married? Like in the stage. They were so excited. They were helping me open the box that the ring was in. I was like shaking. I was just dropping everything. I was like, oh my God, what's in here? You know.
Yeah.
But
was
yeah,
fun.
it was really nice.
I tried to do a good job.
You did.
My game
Oh,
of 2023. So
I'm so glad
really,
you picked this, by the way.
I'm a really big fan of Tales of the Arabian Nights. Like, I love that game, and it is a blast to play. And this game wasn't even really announced when I did my list for 2023 on the Dice Tower. But this is a game that I was like, this would totally make my list really high up there. So I want to talk about this now. This is Tales of the Arthurian. Tales of Arthur. I can't even say it. Arthurian Nights.
I don't think I could say it ever again.
Tales of the Round Tables. I don't know what's wrong with my face. It's not working right now. But basically, this is the basically they took the system of Tales of the Arabian Nights and added it to this like Arthurian legends. So basically, you have all the different Merlin and different crazy stuff going on with all of that stuff, and it just seems really exciting to me to like have like trying to find the Holy Grail and all this different stuff. I have always had a blast playing the zaniness that is Tales of the Arabian Nights. It's just like a choose your own adventure style game with all sorts of wacky, interesting stuff in it. And I'm really excited to see that brought to like a fantasy medieval setting. And it'll just be fun to play more of this style of game. I'm hoping that they've cleaned it up a little bit more and maybe made it a little bit more of a game. And hopefully, we'll see. It'll be cool. I just love the stories in it, and or at least in Tales of the Arabian Nights. I really wanted to teach you Tales of the Arabian Nights because I think you'd like it just because it's wacky.
This is the first I'm hearing about this. It's an instant buy.
Yeah.
Because
I only found out about it like 2 days ago, and I was like, oh.
I think this has been in like Zev used to run Z-Man Games, who made this, and then Z-Man got bought out for Philosophia, and then Philosophia got bought out by Asmodee, and then they had the Tales of the Arabian Nights stuff. But I think Zev has been like holding this and like working with the designer on this, and now it's coming to WizKids because he now works for WizKids, and I'm just really excited to see this game finally come to life after I think this was like hinted at like a decade ago, basically, or something. Not that long, but a really long time ago.
Because that's part of the quirkiness that I love about Tales of Arabian Nights, of how like you can fall in love or try to swoon a rock and stuff like that. How crazy the stories can be. But wow, yeah, I had no idea. This will be instant for me.
I always found
I need an app that reads to you.
I think they're keeping it as a book for this one, though.
Oh yeah, I heard that too. Yeah.
Which is kind of, I mean, because like these things are kind of books, it's kind of interesting, you know. I mean, there's something novel about flipping through. It's like, okay, go to number 307. It's like, oh my goodness, okay, here it is. Okay, let's read it out, you know. And you can kind of ham it up if you like enjoy doing like the little group voice acting sort of thing. And that's
where that D&D voices come into play. That definitely makes it so much.
And I need them to continue to include the one thing in Tales of the Arabian Nights that's like top tier, where it's just no skill. And
yeah,
I
do love that.
It needs the no skill. That way I can say it, just to point it out, rub it in their face. It's so good.
It's so good. And
yeah,
this is
we need to play.
When does it come out?
Is
it straight to retail or is it like
I mean, it's not going to be a Kickstarter. I think it's straight to retail. I don't think WizKids normally does Kickstarters. But it'll be
it's less random. I heard it's less random. You have more decisions on what your choices, how your character impacts your choices.
I think if there's a way to like mitigate a little bit of like the swinginess, where like it feels sometimes it's hilarious, but there's times when like things feel disjointed, and that can be a little immersion breaking. So if they find a good mix between it being like zany and like you never saw it coming, but you can also kind of mitigate some of the stuff that just doesn't even make sense at moments, that would be just a hell of a lot of fun. And I don't know, King Arthur, Tales of the Round Table, Merlin, all that is just like, I assume that's royalty-free stuff at this point. It's probably out in Creative Commons.
Yeah, I think so.
It's surprising to me that you don't see more of this, and it's
right.
Cool,
I was
cool
just
stuff.
thinking that.
Yeah.
Why haven't we seen more of these style games when it is such a big IP?
But yeah, you have Sherlock Holmes and Cthulhu everywhere. You know,
and Alice in Wonderland.
Well, we're too busy in space, and
you have Shadows over Camelot, but like other than that, I mean, there's a few Euro games that are like
that's
Merlin
old at this point, man.
Tainted Grail.
Oh yeah, I guess that's Arthurian too. Yeah, I haven't played that, but it looks fantastic.
I've heard Tainted Grail's good, but I've heard it's also complex, like all of their games.
It's a big game.
It's a big game.
You got to invest.
And it's a lot of grinding.
I love Awaken Realms games in theory, but like I can never remember any of the rules. Like
It's a
today I
game
was
you
talking
set
about
up-
how bad I want to play ISS Vanguard, but also like trying to figure out how to play ISS Vanguard is like a whole nother thing. It's like getting through one of
It's
the
a game
rule
you
books.
set up and leave on the table for weeks and weeks and weeks and play a little bit at a time. And
Yeah,
just
you know.
you just got to stick with it.
Yeah, their games are like that, but the rules also like you're like, oh, I forgot that, or I need to look it up. But it also always feels good to the theme. Like I feel like their rule books are like these kind of dictionaries for the game you have to go back to. But the thing about Awakened Realms is like the theme is usually spot on. You just have to be committed to playing it for a week or something.
See, I don't have that.
Yeah.
I mean, I would like to, but like the people that I would play with, they're not going to commit to all that or want to know all that kind of stuff.
It's just like having Kent there so we could actually finish Nemesis. Like, can he die early? Yeah, here's the rule.
You kill off Kit just so that way he can run the rules the rest of
we
the
need
game.
to play Nemesis Lockdown on Steam.
Yeah,
Yes, for
Yeah.
sure.
I need to play Nemesis because I have a copy of it and I've never actually played it.
Still
So.
going on.
It's great, Roy. It's a great game. It's just fiddly as all F. I don't
I-
own it. I've almost bought it like 5 times.
I
and
ran
I'm
a
like,
stream where the rest of the Dice Tower crew was playing Lockdown, and because I was zooming around on Tabletop Simulator the whole time, I felt like I was playing the game, but I wasn't actually playing the game. So, but yeah,
Well, I've
That's
got
awesome.
it, and I'm tired of carrying it around, so I'm just going to play it Lockdown.
I would play that game. Honestly, the experience I've had with it, the 2 times I played once with y'all. I played once with some friends here in the Detroit area, and so I've only played it twice, and both times it was long. Both times we had to look up rules. But man, that game it's an experience. Like it feels like you're having an experience with everybody, and in that regards, I think it's a massive success. And I would never say no to playing that. So it's a good game.
but yeah, it looks like that leads us to the end of our discussion here. Oh my goodness, we're way into time, so we should probably wrap this thing up at some point. But yeah, it's been a blast having everybody talk about their games and talk about all the different news and stuff like that. I'm so stoked that we are having Epic Gaming Night back. I know we've had a ton of great response with people like super excited about it. Make sure to shout it out. We are trying to get the word out more about Epic Gaming Night, so feel free to ask people to subscribe to the YouTube, or we're now on Apple iTunes. I'm working on making sure it's on Spotify and different services. If you watch the YouTube and you want to listen to the audio and there's a specific service that you use to listen to audio podcasts, like let me know, or just like tweet at us or message me on Facebook or something like that, and I can try to figure out the way to get it up there. But yeah, we're trying to get everything re-ramped back up. But yeah, super excited to have everybody join us. Thanks everybody in chat. That's been a lot of fun, and it's been a blast. Does anybody have any closing words for everybody?
Oh,
guys
we
are-
love you guys. Play more games.
Stay sexy.
You're beautiful. We love you. And we're just so glad to be back, and you can do it. You can do it. Quit telling yourself you can't do it. I'm so sick and tired of you beating yourself up. You are amazing. You are. And we're back, and we're here for you, and we're not leaving. And it's going to be a beautiful thing. And it's going to get weird at times, but don't worry about it. Look at me. We love you. Yeah, like awkwardly. We love you
Also,
so much.
eat more cheese and stuff.
Eat more cheese and just love yourself. And we'll see you soon, okay? It's just gonna be 2 weeks. We'll see you soon, and we'll have more stuff to talk about then.
All right, thanks everybody. Make sure to check us out on everything. You guys are the
Bye.
best. Bye.
Weird enough.